Welcome back on the mat. So starting in a nice upright seated position, you can sit up tall, rest your hands on your knees and take a full deep inhale. Fill up your lungs as you lift your shoulders closer to your ears. On an exhale, relax the shoulders down with an open mouth. Just let it go. Inhale, take it up. Exhale, shoulders down, let go. One more full deep inhale. And exhale, drop your shoulders down. Let it go. And make your way onto all fours. In this all fours position, tuck your toes, straighten your legs into plank. In plank, shift a little bit of weight back and forth. So simply feeling into your wrists, into the shoulders, just with a little bit of weight moving back and forth. Now use the exhale to get all the way into a downward facing dog. Bend into knees, look up, inhale, walk or step feet in between hands, do a halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees and do a forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift, start to straighten out in the legs. Exhale, bend into your knees, back into a forward bend. Inhale, one more time, straightening the back, straighten the legs. Exhale, bend into knees. Relax your head down. Now inhale, do a halfway lift, but keep your knees bent. With an exhale, start to squat down, hugging your knees into your chest. If this is a bit intense, you might lift up a little bit and not squat all the way down. If you find that you are able to get into the position, but you're leaning forwards quite a lot, then start to shift a bit of weight back. Think of getting length in your back. Let go of the knees, part your knees, and sit back onto the floor. Lift your feet, grip hold to the outsides of the feet, and once again get onto the sit bones, but this time round, holding onto the feet with the legs together. Inhale, push feet into the hands, making your way up into a modified boat pose. The focus will be on getting chest closer to the quads and keeping heels in line with your knees. Just keeping your balance in this position. Just to feel into the hamstrings and to play with the balance. Start to push into the legs a little bit more. Straighten your legs out as much as you can. We haven't really warmed up in the hamstrings, so it's likely that you won't straighten the legs. But if you have the flexibility, the legs can be straight, but just know that it's not a must to extend the legs all the way. It's more about balancing, just feeling into your hamstring flexibility. Now bend into your knees. Slowly bring your heels down. Grip hold around the balls of the feet. Start to walk your feet away from your body and bring your chest as close to your upper legs as you can. So if you keep the knees bent and that's your limit, then you simply hold it there. Eventually we'll get the legs straight and get into a deeper forward bend. But just stay wherever you are comfortable and breathe. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, release the feet, and as you lie back, curl down onto the mat, bend your knees once again, find the balls of the feet. With the legs still not being straight, push quads into the body and actively start to straighten your legs as much as you can. So, same posture, just in an upside down position. You might find that the legs could potentially be a little bit more supple now, seeing as though you've been doing a hamstring stretch or two in a row. But just hold it where you can. Nice and even inhales and exhales. Let go of the feet. Grip hold behind the backs of your knees and rock up all the way into seated. In this seated position, step the right foot in, bring the knee down to the floor. We'll first stretch in between the knees, and then we'll take it into a head to knee pose. So take a full deep inhale. Think of getting center of your chest in between your knees, taking the arms out in front. Just loosening up the hamstrings in a very subtle way. Inhale, coming all the way up. Now you exhale, and then with the next inhale, take your arms up, square off in the chest or hips, and exhale. Take it into a forward bend, gripping hold of the front foot, or maybe the leg, wherever you can be, and hold it there. Inhale, lifting in the chest, exhale, let go. Now this bent leg, you're going to push the foot through slightly. Step your left foot onto the mat, and then lift the leg, get your shoulder underneath, just as much as possible. Wherever you get stuck, that's fine. But take the right hand to the outside of that foot, and start to kick with the hand or the foot into the hand. And once again, playing with straightening the leg out a little bit, even if you don't get it straight. Simply hold it where you can. Exhale, bend, let go. Now we'll straighten right leg, left foot to inner thigh. Turning your chest slightly, deep inhale. On exhale, working center of your chest in between your knees as you come down. The right foot is still active. We want to maintain activation through the right leg. Inhale to come all the way up, square off in the hips, get the chest to point out in front. Inhale, arms up, exhale, forward bend, head to knee. Inhale, you can Lift in the chest, exhale, release. Bend your right leg, slide the left foot past the midline. Now let's grab hold of the right foot, get the right shoulder underneath the leg as much as possible. Left hand to the outside of the foot. Opposite hand can come down. Start to kick into the hand, and the leg can be bent. And we hold this position. Just a little bit of a stretch and a bit of a straining or training effect, strengthening effect for the hamstring. Got a bit of resistance there. And bending into the knee. And bring it back down. Step feet onto the mat. You can keep feet hip distance. Place hands slightly behind the shoulders. Use an inhale. Firstly, roll the shoulders back and down, and then lift your hips. Inhale, pushing hips up to ceiling. As you do so, as we get into the tabletop, you can shift a bit of weight back and forth. So a little bit of dynamic movement here in the posture. Keep the hips high as you can as you move weight around. Coming back to a neutral position and exhale. Slowly lower down. Cross your legs. Bring hands to the front of the mat. And take it all the way back into a downward facing dog. In your down dog, step both feet a little bit closer to the hands. Then walk your shorter down dog. So straighten one leg, bend opposite knee. And then change. Just walk it out. Finally, working both heels as close to the mat as you can. Start to walk your hands towards the feet. But the idea is going to be to walk the hands past the feet, even if it means that you need to bend into the knees. So get your fingers more or less in line with your heels. Bend into knees if you have to. And actively work your palms down towards the floor, even if they don't touch. Then as you hold this position, you can straighten the legs out a bit more, bend into the knees. Straighten and bend. Straightening in the legs and bend. Now keep your legs bent. Walk the hands back out in front, getting into a very relaxing short down dog with the legs bent. Keeping legs bent, inhale, get onto the tiptoes, exhale down. Inhale onto tiptoes, exhale down. And one more, inhale onto toes, exhale down. Now you can straighten the legs. Bend into knees, look up. Inhale, position feet in between hands, halfway lift. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, take arms to ceiling. Exhale, mountain pose. Step wide on the mat. Get your feet square. It's always good to have the stance roughly underneath the wrists when you extend the arms. Place hands onto your waist. Inhale, lift in chest. Exhale, lean forwards with chest and chin. Find a nice flat back. If this is relatively intense, bend into the knees a little bit. If you can keep the legs straight, but keeping the knees soft, then hold that position. Exhale, bring your hands down towards the floor, hands below the shoulders. If you can't get the hands to touch, bend into knees. Otherwise, walk your hands out in front like a wide leg downward dog, but don't get the heels to lift off the mat. Relaxing your head down once you get into a position that feels quite good. You're aiming to get the back nice and straight. A straight line from the fingertips all the way to the low back, sacrum area. Walk your hands back onto the mat. As you get hands below the shoulders, walk the hands to the back leg and see if you can reach with the hands as far past the foot as possible. Just reaching past the foot. Maybe you don't get there. Maybe you only get to the foot. That's also fine. Just thinking in the direction of moving past the leg. And exhale, walk your hands back underneath the shoulders. Start to take it in the opposite direction, walking to the front of the mat, getting your hands potentially past the front foot. Walking hands back to center. Now that we've walked the hands in almost every direction, let's finish it by walking it to the back. So get the fingers to point to the back wall and walk your hands as far back as you can. You'll feel that automatically the crown of the head gets a bit closer to the floor. Bend into the knees if you have to. If it gets quite intense, if the stretch is a bit much, bend into your knees. Slowly walk your hands back, get the hands underneath the shoulders, place hands onto waist, inhale, come up into a standing position. Step to the front end of the mat, feet can be together in a normal mountain pose stance. Inhale, take arms up. Exhale, forward bend, head to shins. In breath, halfway lift. Planting hands, exhale. Take it back into plank and lower down, knees, chest, chin on the exhale. Inhale, lift your chest, keep knees on the mat into a cobra pose. And I will once again get into the upper hamstring, and this time around a little bit of lower back at the same time. Lift your right foot off the mat, flex your foot, pull heel to the glute. If you find that you're pushing your hips away from the mat, then know that you are avoiding stretch in the back. So you want to at least sink the hips down and push out of shoulders, thinking of getting the sternum up. Exhale, bring the right leg down, bend the left knee, and work your left foot closer to your glute, flexing the back foot. Keep pulling it in. Exhale, bring it down. You can tuck toes and take it back into downward facing dog. And I'll raise your right leg. Exhale, place the right leg behind the hands in that pigeon shape. Walk your back knee further back. We're getting groin closer to the floor. The idea is to keep hips square. You can first be on the hands and then use your exhale to come down onto forearms. If it's really challenging, stay on the hands. And if you want to take it deeper, take your arms out in front, rest your forehead on the mat. And you decide how far you want to take it. Hold the posture for almost 2 minutes. You want to make sure the back leg is not all too passive. Push the top of the back foot into the floor. Straighten the back leg and get the left knee to not make contact with the mat. Just going to give a slightly different training effect in the left quad muscle area, hip flexor area. You don't have to keep the knee up, you can bring it back down if it gets a bit tired. We've got about 30 seconds to go. And you'll then make your way back up onto your hands, and as you come up, shift weight over to the right side. Pull your back knee in so that we've got more or less of a 90-90 angle. Front leg at 90, back leg at 90. And walk your hands away from the back leg, or away from the front foot is another way of looking at it. Looking over the right shoulder for a bit of a spinal twist. You don't want to experience pain as you do the spinal twist, so if it doesn't feel that good in your back, you can stay in a very easy shape or position. And then walk your hands back, grip hold onto the back of the left knee, bring your back leg over, get the left ankle on top of the right knee, make sure the bottom leg is at 90, and now we aim to stack the knees to an extent for this double pigeon shape. Hand can be on left knee, opposite hand can be behind the back for support, sitting up nice and tall. And if this is relatively easy, you can turn it into a forward bend. Just hold this for 1 minute. Getting out of this one, if you're in a forward bend, you'll make your way up. And if you are in an upright position, first lift the top leg, gently take the leg back, bring hands onto the mat, and then in your own time, step it back into a downward facing dog pose. Should you feel the need to walk it out, you can. Might feel quite nice. And then use inhale to raise your left leg. Exhale, bring knee to chest and place your left leg onto the mat. As you get the leg down, walk your back knee further away from the front leg. Inhale to get length. Exhale to potentially get down onto forearms or straightening the arms out in front. Once again, almost a 2-minute hold. Just stay in this position. Keep the breath nice and deep. You want to get better activation in the back leg. Once again, you can push the top of the foot down and float the right knee off the mat. So the way we get out of this one is by firstly getting up onto the hands, and then you shift weight over onto the left side. Front leg at 90, pull the back knee in slightly to also create that 90-degree shape. Walk your hands past the left knee, looking over the left shoulder as you twist. You can slowly bring it back to center. Take the back leg all the way to the front. Get it on top of the left leg, stacking the legs as much as possible. Once you get into this position, get hand onto the top knee, adjusting the leg down slowly. If you have the flexibility, once again, be my guest to come down into a forward bend. But wherever you feel like staying, we're holding this posture for a full minute. It's already been 10 seconds or so. If you are in the forward bend, it's time to slowly come back up. We'll take the top leg back, placing hands onto the mat, and in your own time, step it back into a downward facing dog. And as you get to the down dog, gently walk it out, feeling into both legs. Well, now to finally get into a lunge, use your inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale, step right foot in between hands. Place your back knee down and start to straighten the front leg, flexing the front foot. As you get into this half split, take an in-breath to get length in your spine and exhale to bring your chest down more. You can place your hands in line with your foot, more or less. Just feel that you're getting a nice stretch in the right hamstring. And bending into the front knee as we get weight back into the front leg. Position hands firmly on the mat, tuck toes, step it back into downward facing dog. Inhale, raise left leg. Exhale, position left foot between hands, back knee down, same thing. Straighten the front leg, flex the front foot. Nice deep inhale to get length in spine, and exhale, coming down into a slightly deeper forward bend. Bend into the front knee, get weight into the front foot, frame the front Foot with your hands tucked, toes, step back, downward facing dog position. Bend into both knees, look up. Inhale, position yourself into a seated position. And as you get into seated, get the heels just to the outsides of the mat. Grip hold onto the outsides of the feet with the arms on the outsides of the knees. Now, just like we did very early on in the practice, walking the leg forwards into a forward bend, we'll be walking the legs or sliding the heels out to the sides, getting into a bit of a wide leg forward bend. If you don't have the flexibility, your legs will stay bent and the chest will at least be a little bit closer to the floor. If you have the flexibility, the legs will eventually be straight and the chest will be a little bit closer to the floor. So it all depends on your flexibility. There's no right or wrong. Just hold on to the outsides of the feet and aim to be patient wherever you are in the stretch. Inhale, lifting in your chest. Exhale, release your feet as you make your way back up. Bring your legs together. Now we'll be getting upside down. You don't want to turn your head when we do plow pose or when we do shoulder balance. And if it's not a full plow pose or not a full shoulder balance, that's not a problem. The idea is to get the toes to touch the floor behind your head. And when you do shoulder balance, the idea is to get into a straight line eventually. If you struggle with that, the legs can point more to the back wall as long as you've got weight on your elbows and hands pushing into the back. So we can slowly lie down without turning the head, get upside down. Wherever you get stuck, that's fine. You can then simply just place hands onto your back. If you don't have the flexibility, bend into your knees and don't let the feet to touch the floor. Breath is deep. Place your arms onto the mat and curl down all the way onto the mat. Once you get the entire body down, as you straighten legs, get comfortable on the mat. For the first time in the practice, allow the breath to be natural. As we allow some time in corpse pose before we carry on with the day. So we just want the breathing to be absolutely natural, eyes closed, and stay here for as long as you like.